Hey everybody, welcome back to the Gaze Against Groomers channel. I'm Jamie Michelle, the founder and president of Gaze Against Groomers.
And I'm Sasha Michelle, the executive director for Gaze Against Groomers and Jamie Michelle's wife.
And today we have some breaking news to share with all of you. Before we get started, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment down below what you think of the video and what you'd like us to cover in the future.
It was just uncovered that a U.S. study on puberty blockers for children goes unpublished because Dr. Johanna Olson Kennedy said that the findings would be weaponized and used to ban gender-affirming care for minors in more states. In other words, as J.K. Rowling put it, we must not publish a study that says we are harming children because people who say we are harming children will use the study as evidence that we are harming children.
I am going to spend the next minute screaming because that is what is going on in here.
No.
If these drugs don't benefit children and actually harm them, isn't it the medical community's responsibility to make that information known and immediately reverse course? We need to ask why rushing children to become lifelong medical patients is being pushed so aggressively. Is it for the child's well-being or to fit an agenda?
The youngest that I've ever heard somebody express their gender identity being different than their assigned gender is 18 months old.
From the age of about 2, they're brought in and some are encouraged to do a social transition.
At just 11 years old, she is the brave and beautiful new face of a child born in the wrong body.
The boy wants to play with dolls. Given the media, instead of just saying, wow, okay, you're just playing around or it's not a big deal, or maybe you're gay, they rush them to the gender clinics.
We have the largest trans youth clinic in the world.
Puberty blockers at age 12, however, where you're given a chance to get that time that you need to see if it is a real phenomenon. Yes, that makes a lot of sense.
She's one of the first to have undergone complete pubertal suppression.
Being able to block that process with these medications is extremely beneficial.
Just yesterday, Gaze Against Groomers shared Billboard Chris's video where he met a young woman named Clementine. This young woman, at age 12, started to receive puberty blockers. At age 13, she got on testosterone, and at age 14, she had a double mastectomy. By age 17, she was in a hormone-induced psychosis. She received puberty blockers after a one-time 30-minute appointment with her doctor, who is, you guessed it, Dr. Johanna Olson Kennedy, at the Children's Hospital in Los Angeles.
But this isn't happening, right? Many of you guys know Billboard Chris. He's an activist who travels the world spreading the message that children are not born in the wrong body and that no child can consent to puberty blockers. Chris also happens to be a dear friend of ours. Check out this video.
Your name again?
My name's Clementine.
Clementine. So Clementine went on puberty blockers at what age?
12.
And you detransitioned at?
I detransitioned earlier this year, actually, but I had been going off testosterone since about 17 because it gave me psychosis.
When did they put you on testosterone?
I was 13.
Wow. And when did you have a double mastectomy?
I had a double mastectomy at 14. I'm currently going through the process of getting reconstructive surgery, and it was harder to get that approved. I actually wasn't able to get it approved by my insurance.
Right.
But it was much harder to get surgery for that than it was to actually get the original top surgery procedure.
For everyone watching this who says this isn't happening, well, it happened to Clementine. At 14, a double mastectomy, puberty blockers at 12, testosterone at 13. How old are you now?
I'm 20 now. I just turned 20. I don't know how a child could consent to the loss of their fertility.
Yeah.
Children can't conceptualize that, and I think people don't understand that.
So what got you into this in the first place?
I was sexually abused as a child, and that was totally ignored, but I started having a lot of negative feelings about my body around puberty, and I was egged on by some guidance counselors that I might be transgender, and I later decided that I was really a boy and my life would be so much easier because of all this abuse that I had experienced because of being a woman, and I totally just rejected womanhood because I thought that all that it meant for me was pain. Yeah.
This is what we mean when we say that children are being fast-tracked on a path towards irreversible harm. This young woman was a victim of child sexual abuse at such a young age, and she felt uncomfortable in her body. Instead of addressing the issue with therapy, these evil doctors experimented on her, all in the name of gender-affirming care. We've heard this so many times.
One last question. And just come in a little bit.
Yeah, of course.
Before you started on the puberty blockers, you've just shared with me this sexual abuse that happened to you before you started on those.
Yeah.
Did anyone ask you about that?
No, not was that brought up once during the meeting. I was only asked, do I like hanging out with boys? Do I get fit in better with boys? What kind of things am I into? Just really surface level questions. And I was prescribed puberty blockers 30 minutes into my appointment after being out for 4 months.
First appointment?
Yes.
With?
Dr. Johanna Olson Kennedy at Los Angeles Children's Hospital.
This is why all of us at Gays Against Groomers fight to end this. Children cannot consent. They are making lifelong decisions with permanent consequences. And these doctors, they're creating patients for life and making millions off of it.
Now let's get into this doctor, Johanna Olson Kennedy.
She began the study in 2015 as a broader multi-million-dollar federal project on transgender youth.
Dr. Olson Kennedy said that the puberty blockers did not improve children's mental health with gender distress. These doctors love to emotionally manipulate parents and ask them, would you rather have an unalive daughter or a trans son, or vice versa?
Dr. Olson Kennedy also completely contradicts herself in her own study. She said puberty blockers did not lead to mental health improvements, most likely because these children were already doing well when the study began. But the study shows 1/4 of adolescents were depressed or before treatment. Gaslighting at its finest.
It's also worth noting that similar studies have been done in Europe, most notably the Cass review, which came out earlier this year. The Cass review found weak evidence in support of giving puberty blockers to minors, which led to the NHS, the National Health Service in England, to stop prescribing them to youth. Many other countries in Europe have done the same thing. They have reversed course and no longer provide gender-affirming care to minors. It's long past time the US catch up.
Dr. Olson Kennedy is also one of the country's most vocal advocates of adolescent gender treatments and has served as an expert witness in many legal challenges to the state bans.
This sick doctor also said that if a girl regrets having a double mastectomy later on, she can just get implants. No big deal. Watch this.
Right? But so what we do know is that adolescents actually have the capacity to make a reasoned, logical decision. And here's the other thing about chest surgery. If you want breasts at a later point in your life, you can go and get them.
This only fuels our fire even more, and it makes everyone at Gays Against Groomers want to fight harder. We've already had a hand in banning gender-affirming care for minors in over 20 states, and we plan to keep fighting until this is banned in every state.
Our members are going to continue to show up to speak on legislation, protest, hold rallies, and do everything we can so these so-called doctors like Johanna and the Butcher of Miami, Dr. Yeet the Teats, remember her? So they're all held accountable for their actions in the gravest medical abuse scandal our country has ever seen.
This is all for today. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below.
And don't forget to follow us on our socials on X at Against GRMRS, on Instagram at Gays Against Groomers, and head to our website at gaysagainstgroomers.com to learn more about us, how you can support us, join the movement, and keep up with everything we're doing.
Bye.